Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. We're going to be talking about the end of Cold War Zombies today. The full stop, the punctuation mark, what do you call it in America? The period? Whatever you guys say over there, it doesn't actually matter. The end of Cold War Zombies is what we're focusing on. But before we get there, I just want to quickly ask, how are you doing? Like, are you doing okay? Are you doing all right? I recognize the fact that the last sort of 2 years have been very weird, sort of 18 months, 2 years or so. Very, very weird for everyone, right? And I was just thinking about it today. People are going back to school right now. It's that time of year. People are starting university, going to college, all those sorts of things. And it's like we're sort of going back to normal, but then at the same time, we're just not, because the world is like irrevocably changed by everything that's been going on. So I just figured I'd check in and say, like, you good? Is everything all right? I hope it is. I hope you're having a good day and week and month and somehow year maybe as well. But if on the off chance that things aren't going so well right now, I at least hope that it gets better for you. And I wanted to start this video on this note because it kind of does lead into what we're going to be talking about today, which is the fact that this year's season of Cold War Zombies content, and when I say season, I don't mean like season 4, season 5, I mean the Cold War Zombies season, the block that is Cold War Zombies, is coming to a close. The next map is confirmed to be, the next round-based map, confirmed to be the final one for Cold War, and then that's that. And Treyarch, we know, are working on a prequel to Cold War Zombies in the next game, or at least that's the assumption, I think. I can't remember if that's official or not yet. It might be, it might not be. Either way, it's set in the same universe. It's going to be giving us more information about how the Cold War Zombie story came to be or something. I don't remember the exact wording, but Treyarch's doing it. And so the likely thing that I've discussed in a bunch of videos is that we're probably going to be getting a story with Ulrich Vogel. We're probably going to be learning more about Strauss, who in Requiem right now is like talking to us over the intercom. He previously worked for Vogel in the like 1940s. So we'll hear about those guys doing their thing during the war, I'm sure. And it will also link to all of the kind of runes that they've been teasing in Intel recently, but it doesn't seem like many people have been that interested in those runes just yet. I think that we sort of need more information about where they're going before people will kind of get excited, but there are basically some runes. But that's about all we know so far. But as much as Treyarch doing Zombies next year is cool, and we'll get to more details about that I want to talk about in a moment, I think that it's maybe now a good time to reflect on how the year's actually gone, like what Cold War Zombies has done for the Zombies mode, where it's succeeded, where it has failed. And to begin with, one of, I think, the major successes, no matter whether you like to play it or not yourself personally, is Outbreak. I've said this dozens of times. Outbreak is not designed for hardcore Zombies players to enjoy and to play day in, day out. That's not what it's for. It's to bridge the gap between multiplayer, which is a very specific experience, and this year with skill-based matchmaking and things like that has been quite a sweaty and difficult experience in many ways. And Zombies is this crazy, chaotic, arcade gamey thing that is really fun, but does require a certain level of skill to really enjoy the kind of depths of. And this year, the Zombies mode has been easier than in previous years. I think that pretty much everyone agrees with that. I mean, you can literally buy self-revives, and that combined with many other features has just meant that it's been quite a forgiving year for round-based Zombies playing. But Outbreak goes even further. If you're into MP, you can play Outbreak. You don't need to know what the hell's going on. You can still get through. You can exfil on round 1 if you really want to, and you sort of feel like you've accomplished something. And it's done really well. Treyarch has drilled into us the fact that the numbers are really good. They match the round-based player count, which is insane, and also pretty sobering because it's like an unavoidable reminder that the round-based Zombies community that we think is like really important and massive and stuff isn't necessarily this irreplaceable and kind of unable to be recreated thing that we all sort of, to some extent at least, think that it is. Like, they made a new type of Zombies mode, and within 1 year, it became just as successful as the round-based maps. And I know round-based fans will moan about that and say, well, actually, like, those are just sort of like fair weather fans, and they'll just play it this year and then they'll fall off, whereas we're hardcore and we've been playing for ages and stuff. I get the arguments on both sides. I'm just saying, Outbreak is undeniably a success because it's onboarded a load of new people. And I expect to see that continue next year. Like, I really think that Treyarch are going to continue to lean into that because they've found an entire new sort of player demographic there. They're going to want to try and supply them with new stuff that they're going to enjoy, right? Other things this year that have been really successful or that are going to be really successful include things like what they've just added today, the Rampage Inducer, where you can skip the first couple of rounds of your game, or not really skip them, but speed them up at least, just so it's a little less boring. And this was a change that was needed because of another change they made, the fact that we spawn in with our loadout weapons now, which again again, makes those first rounds a bit faster. And they've also done just a whole bunch of other things, like not having a perk limit and allowing us to scroll over which AATs we want to get, ammo mods we want to get in the Pack-a-Punch machine. Like, there's just been so many little things that I've really appreciated this year and that I think Treyarch have done a wonderful job with, that I and many people didn't even realize was a necessary change or something that we were missing until Treyarch brought it to our attention. And then it was like, oh my God, I can't live without this now. Like, this is great. So for that stuff, Treyarch gets a double thumbs up. Like, it's been amazing. And I know that Kevin Drew has been a real kind of pioneer in that area. He's really pushed forward a lot of that stuff. So thank you to him. I'm really excited to see what he does next, whether he's working on the Vanguard Zombies mode that Treyarch's doing, or if he's maybe going to be focusing on the kind of core Zombies experience for Treyarch's next game after. He'll probably be doing the Sledge one, but excited to see wherever he goes. And the same goes for a lot of the folks on the team, to be honest. I mean, one person that I'm really curious to see what he does next is Craig Houston. Craig seemed like he was very much like one of Jason's best buds when Jason was at the studio, and they would be kind of an unbreakable allegiance together creating the Zombies mode. And then when Jason left, Craig stayed there, which I was a little surprised by. And he's been churning out an unbelievable amount of intel this year for the Zombies mode, like just a disgustingly large amount. It's actually insane. There's like over 300 pages of intel if you write it all out in like a Google Doc. It's just like, why? But it's a testament to how damn hard that man works in crafting it all together and how hard the sort of story team works. But I know that there are people that haven't been so happy with the story this year, and it's worth talking about that a little bit now. So do I think that the story this year has been less good than in previous years? Yeah, I think I do. I do think that it has not met the bar of intrigue that previous years of Zombies have given me. However, I just know, because any singular time I talk down on the zombie story in any way, or I just sort of mention any kind of critique, people get really mad at me. And it's just like, sorry, I have this opinion. I just don't get it. It's confusing to me. I don't get why these people are so invested in my opinion, but whatever. I do think that there's been a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain just something, meat on the bones of the animal this year that hasn't felt like it's been there. And I know that there is a huge volume of intel, for instance, right? But I think the means of distributing that to players and the fact that we've had the operator system and just a handful of different things really that have all contributed and come together to mean that I just don't feel like it's resonated with players in the same way that it has in the past. Like, if I say to you right now, are you excited to see the culmination of Zykov's story? What do you think? Do you, and leave a comment actually, drop a comment down below. Just give me an honest one line. I'm not gonna, like, no one's gonna make fun of you if you literally don't know who the guy is. No one's gonna make fun of you if you're like, I am so excited to see where it all goes. Like, I've been waiting for this for months now. Whatever end of the spectrum you're on, or if you're in the middle, don't worry about it, right? Just leave an honest comment and let me know. Like, is that something that you are highly anticipating? And you could do the same with other sort of aspects, but Zykov's relevant because he's been mentioned in sort of recent intel. But you could say, okay, with the Forsaken, right? Like, is the Forsaken as exciting an enemy or a kind of bad guy or a foe for Cold War Zombies as we had with, let's say, the Shadow Man for Black Ops 3 Zombies or Black Ops 4 Zombies? Are you captivated by the drama in the story this year in the same way that you have been in previous years? Does it feel the same to you, or does it feel different? Maybe it feels different and it's better in your opinion. Totally valid. Maybe you think it's worse. I'm just really curious to hear your thoughts, because for me, speaking totally as personal opinion, I was just a fanatic. I was an absolutely obsessed fan for the story in the previous years, in the Ether story, right? I was just in love with it. I would digest so much of it on such a regular basis that I had it all stored in my head, ready to go. I would make all these videos. Like, I've made thousands and thousands of videos, and that's not an exaggeration, about COD Zombies and its story over the years, right? And that came from a place of love. Like, I just loved the story so much. This year, there have been aspects of it that I have thought have been very cool, but they've been isolated in a weird way. Like, let's go back to Alpha Omega, right? Alpha Omega has certain things in its story that I think are so damn cool. Like, the voice acting, it's really, really good. And I made a bunch of videos at the time talking about the thing with Dempsey and Peter McCain, and you've got stuff with the Avogadro, Purnell, and all these weird voices you can hear. There were a load of different things in there that I just really, really enjoyed. But the wider context of what was going on was a bit like, huh? Like, there are 8 characters, they've come together, and we're sort of going towards this culmination, this ending that we don't really know the purpose of, or like what the Great War is going to be. Like, it was a very uncertain time, and it felt almost like a pit stop more than it did like a meaningful continuation of the story, in a sense, I think. And there have been other things in the past as well that have been similar, where we've kind of got interesting nuggets of story, interesting little bits here and there, a couple of radios that really stand out amongst a backdrop of less interesting stuff. And I kind of feel like that's how almost the entirety of Cold War has felt. It's just been like, okay, so we get this new context, and because the characters aren't talking and reacting to things going on in the maps, we gain no affinity whatsoever for the operators. Don't care. They could kill off, I don't even know their names. What's the one that's the woman that's super British? It begins with a P. It's not Peck. It's her name, Park. They could kill off Park right now, and in terms of zombies, I wouldn't give a damn, right? In the wider context, with MP and with the campaign and all the rest of the stuff in the universe, yeah, sure, like there's stuff there that I would be more interested in and interested in the ramifications of. But in terms of zombies, makes no difference, right? I think we pretty much can all agree on that. And so with that aside, the only real vehicle that we've got to get new story stuff is characters that we meet in the world, which have been very cool. Seeing Ravenov in person and Peck in person in Firebase Z is awesome. I love that. Brilliant change, like revelatory for what it's like to interact with characters in a zombies map. Loved it. But it's limited, right? It's very limited. And you look at a map like Mauer, you don't have any characters sort of sitting around behind glass windows looking like they want to have conversations with you about all sorts of different things. So you then move on to, okay, you got the people that radio into you and talk to you that way, like Weaver and stuff like that. And also in Mauer, a good example of this would be when Kravchenko radios in and starts telling you about Valentina. That's cool. That's some exposition that they just beam into your ears, and that's great. But without the conversation, without the ability to talk back, without the ability to remark about those things, it feels a little bit more flat than I think it might have done in the past. Like, for instance, let's say you've got Dr. Monty dropping a quote on the players and you're sort of hearing this really crazy stuff. If the characters go, oh, you didn't tell me about that, Richtofen, or like whatever they say, those comments mean that you as a player are like, oh, that's me saying that. I'm a bit more invested in this conversation now, and I kind of want to see how this ongoing narrative affects me as a person that is experiencing this world. So we don't have that. We do, though, have things like some really cool end cutscenes. I mean, the fact that Firebase Z has the cutscenes it has is amazing. The fact that we got Outbreak cutscenes, absolutely incredible. Like, I was so blown away when we got multiple cutscenes in Outbreak. Not even just one alone would have blown my mind, right? And it did. But multiple is nuts to me, seeing as we literally had animated cutscenes for so much of BO4, and then we get to this, and it's like, yeah, you got the full shebang, dude. You've got complete in-game rendered cutscenes happening. Like, amazing. Really, really happy that that happened. And also the lack of caring about who the player is means that you can have a cutscene where something kind of crazy happens, right? But you still don't care so much about the people you're seeing on your screen. Like, the times that we care about the cutscenes might be, for example, when you've got Samantha in the Mauer Toten ending, when you go through the portal and then she's there and she's creating the portal. That's cool because Sam is a character that we have an established context of liking. We know her history. We sort of respect her journey. There are certainly gaps in it, but she's a known entity that we've got a connection with. And so seeing her using her powers and then being on the floor and being kind of tired out and stuff is cool. And the kind of drama of then going to the director and seeing the director observing and saying, Max, this needs to be dealt with or whatever, that is cool. But the characters running away from Kravchenko firing gunfire, I mean, like, literally just mow them down. It makes no difference to me. And I think that's an issue. I really do. Like, we're working towards stuff in the game to, like, save the lives of our characters and save the lives of, like, certain people or free Samantha or things like that. But the lives we're saving are, like, 4 people we don't care about and 1 Samantha. And to me, that means that even caring about the Samantha bit ends up more muted than it maybe has been in the past. Because in the past, it's like, okay, if you don't succeed here, let's say it's like the Der Eisen Easter egg, right? If you don't succeed, the copy of Dempsey, who you are also playing as a Dempsey, they will die, but for the wrong reasons. And that will mean that the player that you're playing as, that other Dempsey, you'll also be screwed, as will your 3 Primus compatriots, Nikolai, Richtofen, and Takio. And that will throw Maxis out of balance. And it will mean that Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man, each in their own kind of spheres of influence, will have their kind of war and their conflict meaningfully altered as well. And it means the cycle will repeat and those characters will go through so much more pain. And it's like the consequences there felt like things that I was a little bit more invested in, even if it was just a little bit. Whereas now, if we failed in Mauer and Kravchenko literally just beamed down the entire squad, right? Then I don't think there would be actually any consequences, like whatsoever. Raptor 1 would be dead. Raptor 1 is the only character that anyone's shown any kind of emotional interest in as far as I've been concerned. Like there has definitely been like some community support for Raptor 1, if you will, when he was captured in Mara and stuff. People were really worried that he died at the end of Outbreak 2. Like that stuff was there and that was great. That was an emotional connection that had been forged. But with the rest of the ops, it's just like, whatever. You beam them down, nothing happens. You just send in more operators in the next map. There are no stakes there, like none at all. And you could sort of argue similar goes for Strauss, Weaver, Carver, Gray, like all these people they've introduced right in the story who have just radioed stuff into us over comms, and they've appeared in intel and stuff like that as well. Unless you have read through 300 pages of intel, which I think probably about 5 of you watching this video have done in totality, you just don't really have that much of a connection to those people. And so again, if tomorrow I made a video and I said, the director just killed Gray, like, would you mourn for her? Is that going to cause you to cry? If that happened in an Easter egg ending, is that going to cause me to cry? I mean, I've cried quite a bit at these Easter egg endings over the years, right? As we all know. But I don't know if I would shed any tears for her. It just doesn't feel like I have been allowed to care for her. Like I haven't been given the opportunity almost to care. And that is not because I haven't studied the intel hard enough. Because A, I have read all the intel and listened to all of it, etc. And a lot of it is really, really just reams and reams of stuff that feels like filler. And B, I shouldn't have to go out of my way to find a reason to care about a character if that character has any kind of importance in the story, right? Like it should just happen because I should be told the story. And this year it's felt like there's just not been a huge amount of that. And so for the full story of Mao, for instance, I could find stuff for Valentina to make people care about her, and I was really glad for that. And some of the Valentina story stuff was some of my favorite story stuff we've had all year. I was very, very happy with how that all sort of came together and sounded in the end. And that video as well, I was really proud of because I felt like I did a good job of compiling these bits of information from various sources and sort of making like a Black Ops 3 styled video that I would have made back then, or a Black Ops 4 one even, where I just sort of presented a story in a way that people might not have realized was even present in the game and gave you guys an opportunity to care, like gave you guys an opportunity to get invested in a character, to get invested in their story and their history and their struggle. And that's all I'm trying to sort of say with all of this is I just wish there'd been a little more this year of Treyarch doing that, but it has felt pretty hands off. And that's fine because like I've said, the operator model clearly works and there's a reason they're doing it this way, and it will be the same next year. They will have operators once again, I'm like 95% sure. So it's just reality now. But again, I want to have an honest, open conversation in this video so that the devs can hear what I think and the devs can read the comments and see what you guys think, and it can sort of generate some conversation in the community so that whatever they do in future can be the best possible thing for all of us as Zombies fans. Has this year been a failure? No, not at all. It's had some very quiet patches. There have been some real sort of voids in the content calendar and stuff like that. And it's also not had the replayability that I thought it was going to have on launch. Like on launch, I perceived there to be a lot more depth to the game than I think there ended up being. And so there haven't been things that have kept me playing like week on week on week. I actually play very little of the game, just as I've done in pretty much all previous years for Zombies, because I'm not like a Zombies grinder. I literally never have been, but I've been waiting for something in the game to motivate me to play it more. And I've been waiting for something to hook me in that way and give me an incentive to keep playing really regularly. But so far for me, that hasn't appeared. I personally don't like grinding for camos. I just choose to spend my time in other ways that I enjoy more. It takes way too long. I'd rather go outside. It's just not for me, but it is attractive for some people, which is totally fine. And for those people, more power to you. Grind out those camos, great stuff. But I've been waiting for just something that does appeal to my interests, and Zombies over the last 10 years just hasn't really ever provided that. But I haven't lost hope. I am still kind of waiting for the day when it happens, and who knows, maybe this year with Vanguard will be the one. Anyway, another thing that I wanted to get to is the fact that the next Outbreak map is also the last Outbreak map. So don't expect there to be any sort of surprises in the next season with like more Outbreak maps and things like that, more Outbreak Easter eggs. This really is the end. And so I wanted to get on to Treyarch's next Zombies installment in Vanguard, right? And what I want to specifically target here is the question to you guys of, if we got Cold War Zombies again, Like, if we literally got the exact same formula again, would that be something you guys would be happy about, or would you be disappointed? Because it won't be the same. Like, it categorically will not be the same. I guarantee you that right now. But I'm really curious if there is a cohort of people out there that just want this season to never end. Like, I saw rumors spreading a couple of weeks back that there was going to be a Cold War Zombies year 2. I have no idea where those sprung up from. I certainly didn't hear about that from any of my sources, and it just didn't really make sense to me that that would be something they would explore. But a lot of people seemed really excited by the idea. So I think there are people out there that really have loved Cold War this year and that want this zombies to just keep going as it is, which is awesome. Like, I'm really glad that you guys have had an amazing experience this year. But for the people that have been less into it, is a return to the old Treyarch formula what you need at this point? Or are you in the camp of, man, I need it to be like Infinite Warfare Zombies, or I just need Extinction 2.0. I need it so badly. Like, are you in that kind of category? Because Zombies has this problem that's been growing for years and years, which is that there are so many iterations of the mode now that no one can agree on what the best one is. Like, I think probably the majority opinion is like, yeah, BO3 kind of era, right? But there are a lot of people out there that hate the BO3 Zombies maps. They much prefer Infinite Warfare, or they much prefer Exo Zombies, or whatever. Like, people have latched onto different aspects of the Zombies mode over the years, and that means that now, going into this next game, Treyarch are making a Zombies mode in not their COD game, because it's a Sledgehammer COD, and they're continuing the Cold War story, and it's a prequel, so we already know the kind of climax, like we know where it goes, we know where it's all heading. And I'm just really curious, seeing as this is the end of Cold War Zombies, what is your ideal next thing? Is there a way that a prequel could really, really excite you? Like, if they tell the story of Samantha as a child, and maybe Eddie is in there, and it's their, like, teenage years, their escapades through the world, and then Eddie ends up getting killed in the last map or something, and it's like, oh my god. And that's why we never saw Eddie in this DLC season in Cold War. I'm sure that Treyarch is working really hard on some innovative experiences. I've seen tweets from some of the devs saying, I'm just so excited to see the community kind of react to what we've been building for this next iteration of Zombies. And that's really exciting to see. Like, I always really feed off the energy of the devs when they're like really passionate and excited about a reveal or whatever. It's infectious. It really is. So that's in its own right kind of something that's getting me amped for the game. And just in general, like, launches are always fun. Like, every single year, no matter what the game is, I'm just excited by it. Like, leading up to it, it's like, it's a new game coming out. Like, it's Christmas again, literally. And that's always something that excites me. It really does. Even if the game ends up being not so good, or it's been a previously not so good year, like, I'm still always excited for the releases. So yeah, curious what you guys think. And on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap the video up here for now. But if you want to see more videos like this, where I'm just sort of like chatting with you, then please let me know, because I haven't done many videos like this year. I've been much more on my more sort of straight shooting, fairly generic content this year kind of track. And a lot of the talking to you guys and just sort of also updating you on my life and what I've been doing, a lot of that's kind of slipped out of the picture compared to previous years, where, let's say in January, for example, while I was at uni, I would always make a video being like, guys, I've got exams, it's crazy right now, I'm really struggling, and like, I'd give you a little update about me. There's been a lot less me this year, and a lot more just like, here's some news, and that's it. So I'm curious if any of you guys missed that stuff, or if you just don't care about it at all, and you just only care about the Zombies news. And on that note, actually, I'll maybe mention for the first time on my channel, and this is something that I will talk about in other content at some point, is that there are a handful of other interests that I have, whether they're in gaming or outside of gaming, that I think would work really well for content, but I don't know how best to present that to you guys as my audience in a way that you like, without feeling like I'm just trying to sort of force content you don't like down your throats. And I'll talk about this more in another video. I don't want to go off on a tangent now, but it's just something I'm thinking about a lot. Like, should I be making a bunch of separate channels for instance, let's say I was gonna do some like food related content. I could never really do that on this channel, right? So I need to start a new channel. But then it's like, okay, do I make new channels for literally every other interest I have? I've been playing Halo recently. I've been streaming those with JC. My first time ever playing the Halo campaigns. Should I be making a separate channel for Halo content once Halo Infinite comes out? Because this is a Zombies channel, really, right? Like, its main focus is Zombies, and it could widen up to Call of Duty just in general. If I maybe started playing Warzone or something, I'm sure I could post that on here. But with other stuff like Halo, or like Battlefield, or I don't know, some other Zombies games like Dying Light 2 and stuff, like, do those deserve to be on separate channels for the separate audiences that do care about those? I just don't know, man. I've been thinking about it a lot. I've got like some podcast stuff right now that I'm working on that I'm really, really excited about, but don't really feel like it fits on this channel. I just don't really know what to do. So I'd love to see some of your thoughts in the comments down below if you don't mind. And the last thing I'll say is please keep it civil. Like I've said before, whenever I say anything remotely negative about Zombies, I get a huge number of people saying, you don't even play the game, you can't criticize it. And then there are more people that say, you don't even like the game, but you're still pretending to be excited. That's illegal. You've got no integrity. And then there are more people that are saying, you didn't even collect all the intel. You've got no integrity. And it's just like, dog, you good? I don't get the fuss. I really don't get the fuss. People care way too much about other people's personal opinions. It's a bit odd. But anyway, let me know what you think, guys. I care about your opinions because I'm asking you to leave a comment. I just want you guys to keep it civil in the comments if at all possible. All right? Hopefully this has been a good video. It's been quite long. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.